You know, you've seen an incredible amount of high school games over the years. Is there one or two high school games that you'll never forget? And who were the teams and who were the players?
I can't answer that.
Well, I know one game that I remember. You and I drove through a snowstorm.
I can't answer that. There were so many. I'd have to think. You'd have to remind me. I mean,
well, you remember the time I picked you up at the George Washington Bridge, snowing like hell, and we drive to Norwalk, Connecticut, and Norwalk High's playing Warren Harding, and we get there and through this snowstorm, and there must be 500 people outside, and they won't let anybody else.
Can't get in.
Yeah, and so I said, Garf, we drove all this way, and we're not going to get into the game. And you said, kid, don't worry about it. I'll get us into the game. And so by the time we got in, it was the end of the first quarter, and Calvin Murphy had already scored 25 in the first quarter.
How did I get us in?
I don't remember how you got us in. I know you got us in. There was no high school game in America you couldn't get us in.
Walking around the arena about 3 times, freezing to death, and I finally, I think I don't know, we got in. I know we got in. Yeah, that was great. Most of the great high school games I saw were the All-Star games, postseason stuff. A lot of those, and then there were so many great camp games, 5-star. But I couldn't name you two.
We've used the name 5-star. And so subsequently, you took the 5-star rating system and you turned it into the connotation of what probably has become the most famous summer basketball camp of all time. Tell us a little bit about how did you come up with the idea for the summer camp? Why did you give it the name 5-star? And how did you get it off the ground?
Well, the book came out, the magazine, and I was in 65. I had gone to Roy Rubin and I. Roy Rubin was the coach of Columbus High School.
Mm-hmm. Subsequently the coach of
LIU.
LIU, I'm sorry.
And he was at the Columbus High School, and I had been honored to be hired by Jack Donahue for his basketball camp. He ran a nice camp with terrific play. He had Lou Alcindor there, so therefore it was the camp of the time. It was the only one that was anything at that time. It's called Friendship Farm. It was up in Saugerties, New York, home of the fly. More flies in Saugerties, New York than any place in America. And I was honored to be a counselor and a coach at Friendship Farm. And it was a 6-day, 7-day, 8-day. I think it was about an 8-day camp. 7 days, 7 nights, 8 days. Or 8 days, 7 nights. And he had all the great players from New York and around in the surrounding area. And I was coaching up there, and I really liked the idea. I thought it was a terrific idea. I thought there were some things we could do better. You always think, you can do better than the guy you're working for. And I came back very enthusiastic about this 6-7 day event with all these terrific players. Bob Knight came up one day to coach the game. I coached against him. I won. My team won. I had the White Tornado. Had Brian Adrian, 2 great players from Malloy, and I had a terrific team. And Knight took over for this other team. We won the game easily. But that's not part of the story. I love the idea, and I went to Roy Rubin, and I said, Rubin, we gotta let's do a camp. What's a camp? And I told him about Donahue's, and he was a little hesitant, and he said, "Who we got? We need a big name, like a big head coach, you know, someone. Let's get a big name guy to start it off." Anyway, this went on for a year or two, conversation. And finally, Rubin comes to me and he said, "My assistant coach, Will Klein, works for a lady up in Niverville, New York, at an 8-week camp. She wants to run an extra week at the end. I think she had cheerleaders, didn't go too well, and she wants something like some kind of a camp for a week." And Will Klein came to me, and he thought it was a good idea to maybe do the camp there. So we have a site now. We have a site at this, what was it called? It was in Niverville, New York. I forgot the name of the camp. In any event, we go, and I went to Tom Sanders. I went to Sat Sanders, and I said, "Satch, we're going to start a basketball camp." I said, "We would love you to be the head coach." He said, "My name isn't big enough." I said, "Sure it is, Satch, come on."
Was he with the Celtics at
He
the
was
time?
with the Celtics at the time. 20 years later, I went to him, I said, "Satch, do you remember when I came to you and offered you to be the head coach at 5-Star the first year?" He says, "I think about it." You know, Satch is very drawn. He says, "I think about it all the time." He made a big mistake. But in any event, we went to him, and we got turned down. And then I went to a coaching friend of mine by the name of Vic Bubis, who was the famous All-Star Hall of Fame coach now. Now he's in the Hall of Fame. Then he was the coach at Duke. And I asked him to be the head coach, and he said he would, and he'd do the first lecture, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, we went up there, and the lady's name was Elaine Kaiser, and we opened up and we started the camp. And we sent out brochures, and I would say it was May. It was about May. We had 30 kids in May. We weren't doing too good. And I was, Paul Brandenburg again. He got me the HSBI report HSBI Illustrated magazine, and then he tells me there's a coach in New Jersey at Fairlawn High School I'd like you to meet, and they're hosting a state tournament game tomorrow night, and he's going to be there because he's in charge of the taking care of the kids at halftime, making sure they don't go crazy, the fans and all of that. And I said, "What's his name?" He says, "His name is U.B. Brown." I said, "Okay, what does he do?" He coaches Fairlawn High School. His team was knocked out, and they're hosting this tournament game. So I go, and it's halftime. And he's holding up, U.B. Brown's holding up a rope. He's holding up a rope to keep the kids off the court and all that stuff. I go over to him and introduce myself. Paul Brandenburg introduces me, and I speak to him I tell him about this camp. I said, it's called the Roy Rubin Basketball School, and Roy Rubin's the head coach now at LIU, and Will Klein's his partner, and three of us, we have a three-way partnership, and we're starting this basketball camp. And Paul Brandenburg tells me, "You're a very good coach. We'd love to have. Would you like to work?" And he said, sure. When is it? I give him the date. Fine. And we send him some brochures, like we do everybody. We had 6 coaches then. There was 6 head coaches. Hubie Brown was one of them. Marv Kessler was one of them. He was an unbelievable coach, I'll tell you about in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. I know Marv very well.
Normie Lefkowitz from Bronx Science was one. Another one was the coach of LaSalle Academy in New York, Danny Buckley.
Mm-hmm. Knew him too.
So we had 6 tremendous coaches, and they were going to be the head coaches in the NBA. So I mean, that's how the camp started, with 6 super coaches and teachers. It's now it's like I'd say it's June 1st. This camp's going to be in August, the end of August, the last week, 7 days. It's late May, early June. I get a manila envelope in the mail, big manila envelope. What the heck is this? I open it up. It's 35, not 22, not 30, 35 applications from Hubie Brown, Fairlawn High School. He had gone around recruiting every kid in North Jersey. Mm-hmm. And so we had 35 kids. The enrollment doubled. In one day, the enrollment doubled the Parstar, the first week. It wasn't Parstar, the Roy Rubin School. Unbelievable, never forget it. And now we had 70 kids. And we lost some at the end. I think we had 71 kids the first year for Parstar of Roy Rubin Basketball School. Now, it turns out, naturally, Vic Bubas can't do it because Vic Bubas is on a recruiting thing. He's going, no, Vic Bubas got something overseas and he can't come to open the camp. He was going to be the head coach. He sends his assistant. Very disappointing because, Vic Bubas was Mike Krzyzewski today would be Vic Bubas then. Mm-hmm. So he sends me a coach by the name of Chuck Daly from Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Yep. And Chuck Daly shows up, and I said, Coach Daly, you're going to do the first lecture. You're going to open, and blah, blah, blah. Thanks for coming. And Chuck Daly's the head coach. We didn't know who the hell he was. So
you found out soon.
We found out soon. So then there we were, a little Pisher camp up there in Maine with 6 fantastic high school coaches, another Hall of Famer, Chuck Daly, and now, let me see, Will Klein does the second lecture, someone else does the third lecture, and my friend Shelley Meyer, who had gotten me Larry Brown, no, I'm sorry, it was Mike's 6th coach I didn't mention, Mike Singheiser, from Lynbrook High School, who went on to coach Brown University for many years. Mike Singheiser comes over to me one day. He said, who's lecturing tomorrow? I said, I'm not sure yet. He says, well, you better let Hubie Brown lecture. I said, what? What for? He says, Hubie Brown bought half of this camp. I said, do you want him back? You better put him on tomorrow, or at least before the end of the week. I said, can he lecture? Is he any good? He said, I don't know.
But if you want those campers back,
let's find out.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have to tell you. We do how the heck did we do that? He does a morning lecture. We didn't have stations then. There were no stations then. Mm-hmm. There was no such thing as stations first year. I'm sorry, that's right. We would lecture, and then following the lecture, we break down. In other words, the guy would lecture
into drills,
and then we drill on what the guy lectured on. Mm-hmm. Hubie Brown goes on at 2 o'clock following lunch. At 4:30, Okay? He's still up. There's no time for breakdowns. He does a 2.5 hour tour de force. I never heard anything, to this day, I've never heard anything like it. He was phenomenal. I mean, it was the best thing I've ever heard. I mean, and Kessler had lectured the day before. Kessler's great. Marv Kessler from Lynbrook High School, one of the geniuses of basketball, high school, college, pro, whatever.
So this is the first
poet of the hardwood. Marv Kessler had lectured. Now UB's got to follow him. No way, no one's going to follow Marv Kessler. Forget about it. 2.5 hours of whatever you can think of. 6 moves, and he did 6 moves in a pivot, 6 moves from the guard, 6 moves from a forward. It was incredible. So that was
early evidence of that he was going to be a great one.
Yeah. And then I spent 2 years on the phone with Bill Foster, who did the great clinics down in North Carolina, New Jersey, and all over, to get UB on. He finally hired him. That was the beginning of his lecture, national recognition as the best. UB Brown is the greatest hoop clinician alive, dead, or yet unborn.
I think that covers it.
Huh?
I think that covers it.
Incredible.